turned up. Call this meeting in order. All stand. Face the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Brett Luther.
Present.
R.J. Donovan.
Here.
Tim Yoakum's here. I will apologize for last meeting. I was deathly sick. And the meeting before that, I was in a conference at Washington, D.C., so I'll let you know what was going on. Moving right along. Approval of minutes.
Motion to approve minutes as corrected.
Second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of claims.
Motion to approve claims.
Second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of payroll.
I'll make a motion to approve payroll.
Second the motion.
Discussion. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Economic development update. I didn't think you was on there, but you are.
Good morning. I'm sorry.
I forgot you were up
Good morning.
higher on that
Okay.
list. So.
All right. So I just have a recap for February and then some announcements on some things that are going on. So over the month of February and even this beginning of March, I've spent most of the time focusing on visiting the town boards, really focusing on seeing what we can do to help who are already here, and then trying to cultivate maybe some new small businesses and see if we have some aspiring entrepreneurs within the county. So just as kind of a recap on that, I've attended all of the town boards so far except for Clinton, which will be next week, and then Fairview and Dana. A lot of them like that second Tuesday of the month, so it's going to take a bit to get to some of those that are all scheduled on the same nights, but I'll get there. The exciting part of it is that there were 4 projected small new businesses within the county. One of them announced this past weekend in Clinton, so that's super exciting. He and I had a long meeting and then helped connect him through the Indiana Small Business Development Center, and he announced, and then he will be having a cafe pizzeria in Clinton. The name of it will be Chester's, so that's super exciting. And then I have 2 more that are already set up with Courtney via Zoom meetings, and then another 2 that we will be doing office hours back in the county, and they will be meeting with her during those office hours at the end of the month. So aside from that, I've tried to pick a couple different state agencies, really dive into them and really get to understand them better on what they have to offer and what they can do.
Is your mic on?
Okay. So this month I dove a little bit. I had conversations with Okra, but I did more follow-ups with them to be able to get more information. And then also the Indiana State Department of Agriculture, especially with this ag of our county wanted to dive into that a little bit more, get a little bit understanding of them, and focused on grants that might be out there and things of that sort. There is one open right now. It's a specialty crop block grant. So they focus a little bit more on specialty crops like Christmas trees, or if you have forest for logging, things of that sort. There's some specialty flowers, herbs, and there's different, of course, caveats with all of those. But if there are businesses or farmers out there that have some of those specialty crops, I encourage them to reach out. I can get that information to them. That closes the 22nd, so time is ticking on that. Moving forward on some announcements on things that I've been getting set up in the county. Most people, I think, have seen it on social media, and I spent last Thursday and Friday distributing flyers, is that the Indiana Small Business Development Center and my office, Purdue Extension, the commissioners, the Sheriff's Department, Mark with EMA, all of us have partnered together to help promote some preparedness for small businesses and farmers. So that will be happening this evening at the fairgrounds at the community building. So I strongly encourage business owners and any of our ag community to attend that this evening. The Small Business Development Center will be doing a presentation on how to prepare, what to expect, and be ready for that weekend. So also with the Small Business Development Center, Courtney will be starting to have office hours once a month in my office. The first one is going to be March 25th. We already have a couple slots filled for her. She will be here between 11 and 3. They're scheduled every hour. I have 3 spots left open. If there's any businesses or aspiring entrepreneurs that would like to have some business consulting, just keep in mind that is free of charge, that the county helps support that. And then with Okra, they are doing a Main Street 101. So their Main Street program, they have reconfigured that. And it's not until June, but just kind of wanted to do a save the date for people to mark their calendars. June 4th from 4 to 6 at the Hub in Terre Haute, which is located at 9th and Wabash. They are doing a Main Street 101 that will help cover all things Main Street program. So how to set it up, how to structure a board, whether you have to have a director or not. It's now set in 3 different levels, and they will cover all of those aspects of the program. So lastly, this one I'm super excited about. Mr. Yoakum and I met last week and got some more details figured out. I had mentioned it at the last meeting that we were planning a bicentennial celebration here at the courthouse. It is going to be the last weekend in April, which will be April 26th, for 4th graders to come and do a field trip at the courthouse, be able to introduce themselves or be able to learn a little bit about local government. Mr. Yoakum and hopefully George Sanquinetti will be able to help us with some history speaks there. And then on Saturday the 27th will be a community event. So it's going to be very similar to what Hillcrest did. Kathy Alfke has been a great help with that. So we're just having a repeat of that in another location of the county for everyone to be able to see the history boards and see what has made up our county for the last 200 years. So on that note, with the bicentennial, I do have a request from the commissioners. We would like to be able to supply the 4th grade students with a t-shirt with just the Vermilion County logo on the back or on the front, and then on the back it would have the county seal stating the bicentennial and the dates. So I do need to request from the commissioners if you would allow us to be able to use the county seal on a t-shirt for the 4th grade students that would be taking their field trip here to the courthouse for a visit.
I don't think we have any problem with that.
No.
Do you guys have any questions for me? I know that was a lot real quick, but.
Well, I might say a few more things. We're also going to do a coin, try and do a coin that one side will be the state of Indiana, the other side will be the Vermilion County Bicentennial. These kids will get with t-shirts and a coin. We're also looking at doing a time capsule, and these kids will be contributing to that time capsule, and we will be burying it out behind the monument out here and put it in the ground for 50 years out. So these kids and 4th graders, there's a possibility they can come back and dig up this time capsule. So there's a lot of different things developing. Management did a wonderful job, and it's going to be a nice celebration, attract a lot of people, and a lot of good information on the history. And I believe the state is not true that 4th grade students have 1 week of local history, and that's why it's coinciding with the 4th grade students.
Correct. That is why we did choose the 4th grade students. They do a local history section. It's focused on the state. But in my correspondence with the schools, they are willing to help incorporate county-specific history within their social study classes. So obviously still working on the coordinating of all of that, of what to be covered, what not to be covered, and what we're going to be doing. But they have been
the school corporations already gave all their approval, and they're
yes, they are extremely receptive to all of it.
The other thing, I talked to Mike Kleik, and we're looking at closing down the south road on the south side of the courthouse and the east road on the courthouse. So when we have all these kids in here that day, it'd be cordoned off and be protected, so the kids can stay within that protected zone. And I don't know if that'd be okay with y'all. Would approve that, doing that day, and they'll still be able to get around. They just won't be able to go right here and right there, because when you got a bunch of kids here, we want to have a protected zone they can stay in.
I don't think I have a problem with
Yeah, I don't.
Newport, though.
Yes, Mike Kleik is contacting Newport today.
Okay.
I want to make sure you guys are okay with it too.
Yeah, that's fine.
It'll be a great event.
Main Street
Yeah.
program, we used to have that going. I don't think we have any, don't believe we have any towns or cities participating in that at this point. I'd like to encourage that if they would, if somebody at least go to the meetings from those, a representative of those places. There are a number of grants available from that. Some of them have zero participation or matching funds with those.
Yep.
Also on the coins, I like the idea. There's a number, at least in the military, they call challenge coins, of which certain hierarchy of military admirals, generals, whatever's have coins made. Not that we individually should necessarily do that, but it's an honor to receive one of those. And an idea might be is to have county officials have a coin and a challenge coin, and then whenever they maybe offer it, maybe it'll be some type of a memento of the county recognizing a person's contribution to the county or to whatever. But
Like
anyway,
a
something
yearly award thing that would be given out from the county government, is what you're saying.
something to that effect.
That'd be
Or,
nice.
but anyway, it might look into how the military might do that and pattern something for the county that might make sense. But
I will contact the state if you're there too, to make sure we can use our seal on the other side of that.
I know it's not quite appropriate at this point, but we do have a VA position open since I
Yes.
mentioned military, so it's segue into that. That's not been, nobody's applied to that so far, and it's been, oh, we do have one now? Okay, last time I checked, we had none.
Can we see
But
that
anyway,
today?
the VA position is still open, and we do need to get that filled with an appropriate person. I'd prefer a vet, but if we don't have any applications, maybe somebody else. It is a paid position, by the way. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you guys.
Remind me, when I was in DC, I got some information, USDA grants that are 75-25 for townships. And the township grant money is the best funding you can get because it has such a low requirement on your matching money. And I'll send that to you. It's a very good program, and they gave me all the contacts, and I want to look at that a little closer.
Fantastic, yeah, I'll watch for it.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Soil and Water Conservative District signage on the annex. Eric Scheidler. Thank you. Thanks for the reminder.
Good morning, gentlemen. Sent you a memo on some signage for the annex right outside of our new entry door. We have lettering already on the brick sign at the library. I've contacted Clover Signs, who installed that lettering. They said they can remove it and then repurpose that onto our side of the annex. I just want to make sure that you guys are okay with us doing that. Soil and Water is going to pick up the cost on that. That will not be a cost to the county. It's Soil and Water Board will take care of that cost, whatever that ends up being. So.
Also, you got any update on solid waste since you're up here?
So we have a meeting tomorrow, 8:30, right here. We'll be discussing plans for the spring cleanup and tire recycling. And then we just have some housekeeping things that we're going to be doing. But the website, we've got solid waste page up and going on the website. There is information on cleanup days on what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, so folks can access
You can get
that.
on that. I started that page. You can get on okay, right? I've seen there's stuff going on there.
There's a Facebook page that I cannot get onto
Okay, let me
yet.
know, and I will definitely grant you access to use all you want.
Yes, but as far as the county website goes, Solid Waste has a page on there, and we're also putting agendas and minutes on there, so tomorrow's agenda is on the web, so that people can go in and access tomorrow's agenda and see what we're going to be talking about. So we're going to be keeping that updated so that people can see a little bit clearer what Solid Waste is going to be working on. So we're moving forward.
If someone didn't know, he is our new director for solid waste. Eric.
Yeah, I'm a glutton for punishment. What can I say?
I appreciate what he does. It really does. It's important to have someone that has a passion for the job they do, and I believe he does. I appreciate what you're doing.
Good for the signage?
Do we formally
Yep.
agree?
Yeah, I have no issues with it.
No problem.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's going to get installed. So I told Clover Signs, I said, let's wait till it gets warm, perpetually warm. It'll be easier because it's a silicone-backed sealant that's holding those on. I was like, let's wait till it's warm. So it may be even May or June before that transition happens, but I want to make sure it's clean coming off of there and easy install over
With
here.
the sign out front, it don't say who's in that building, so would it help if we have that sign out front with the names of both organizations?
Oh, I think so, especially for us, since we're on the back side of the building, we don't have near the exposure. So there's going to have to be
We have,
some
say,
additional.
front entrance and rear entrance and have the two names.
Yeah, there's going to have to be, we would like some extra signage
think
just
there's
for
enough
exposure,
room.
on the back side, so people know how to get around there, but,
So, you guys have any problem doing that? Adding that to the sign?
No.
Okay.
perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for me? Follow Amanda's lead and ask for questions.
Answered all mine.
Okay?
We'll back
No,
up.
I'm staying.
We'll back up. I overlooked public comment. You have a chance to say something now. You have a chance to say something later. So it's up to you if you want to talk now or talk later or not talk at all. The floor is open. You'll come on up.
I think my name was on the list somewhere.
You're actually on the agenda.
Is it?
That's okay. You can go ahead and you're up here. I'll make you walk up here twice.
Robert Henry's my name. I noticed a lot of trash along the road, so I went and talked to the prosecutor, asked for some help for community service. He was willing to oblige, so I have county community service people that are doing that. And I was wondering if the county wouldn't be willing to, once we pick it up, or they pick it up, if the county wouldn't be able to pick up the bags and dispose of the garbage. At this time, I've been keeping the bags and disposing of them with my trash, but that's sort of a pain. So,
Have you
Well,
ever
what
talked
you
with
think
County
of it?
Highway about Mike Clack?
well, most of the county roads and stuff, where we've been picking up, and I don't know how much time they have. Each community service person's got different times, different hours or whatever. And I don't know when they work, and they don't know until, how would I say that? They don't have a specific time that they work for the county,
They get to schedule when they want to, right? Is that what you told me?
Well, what they give them, say, 2 years to do 180 hours, and it's up to them to do the 180 hours at their will. So my job was to direct them in the area where we need the trash picked up or whatever. Because they are going to the solid waste board. I don't know if you knew that yet or not, but anyway, I was just sort of a go-between guy. But that was my thought, whether the county would be willing to, once we pick it up, put it along the roads, whether the county would be willing to pick up the trash bags. Or one place we found 9 tires in one spot. Of course, we rolled them back down there till we can do something with them.
What I might suggest is that you get with the county solid waste and with collect and organize something, then bring it back as to a proposal as to what you want the county to do. I think that might be best, is to work with those two groups, or at least with solid waste. Let them organize that.
I could do that, I guess.
I'd like to say help you any way we can, but like you said, if there was some organized times, it
But
would
see,
make sense.
it's
but
not.
they do when they want it.
It's not, you can't say they're gonna be there tomorrow, because they're not. Because I don't know till the day before that they're gonna show up, and then I gotta change my schedule to meet theirs, and I'm doing this for the county and not for me.
Right.
Yeah.
I hope that the county sees that too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just organize it with solid waste and see how we can make it work, and then we'll take on the proposal if we need to. It may be
Yeah.
able to just be handled through those departments.
Well, that's gonna be a committee tomorrow.
Yeah,
So I'll-
that's where.
But I just wanted to run that before.
Yeah, and I think it's a good idea what you're doing too, Robert. I wanted to thank you for that, kind of spearheading this. But yeah, I think between solid waste and everybody, we can find some dumpster space or somewhere, so you're not footing that bill personally because you're helping clean up the county. So
Yes, yes.
hopefully we can work together and get you some dumpsters somewhere to get that trash thrown away.
Thank you.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
Dr. Merkett and Kim Hawkins, septic ordinance and purchase of a vehicle for health department.
Okay, first, the septic ordinance. You can see that it's been advertised for 2 weeks. The state, July of last year, made all county ordinances no longer enforceable. So they wanted everything redone because they were trying to get kind of a similar rules across the state, because some had lots of restrictions and some had very minimal rules for the people who install the septic systems to follow. So we were given a template to work from, and we worked from that, and then we brought it to you. That was in, I can't remember, maybe September. You passed it, and so we had that for a little bit, but it was never approved by the state. So then they came back with a totally different template for us to work from twice, and now we think we finally have it. We worked very closely with Alice Quinn at the state, and she feels like it's ready, that it would be accepted by the technical review panel. They have the final stamp on whether or not it's enforceable and that we can put it into action. So we're bringing you the final ordinance that we have put together, and do you have any questions about it as far as...
What are the differences between the two?
I'm sorry?
What are the differences between the two?
This ordinance, there wasn't a lot that we had to change, actually. There were some things that were more strict that we didn't keep in our ordinance. And the main thing, looking at this versus the other one, is there's a lot of information on holding tanks, and they did change it a little bit from last time. The cabin in the woods that you wanted, Mr. Yoakum, they changed that so that you can have that holding tank permanently and do not have to switch over to on-site sewage system. So, but it does have, all the rules and regulations for the holding tanks is the main thing. They kind of had us refer to the state codes about just the regular sewage system. So, and that's the main thing I see, this versus the one we passed last year, is that they really concentrated, focused on the holding tanks, and so other than that, it's pretty similar.
Except this is a first reading, I guess, but I'd like to review it
Yes.
further if we would. Accept public comment if there is any.
As long as we make sure it's taken care of the next meeting.
That's fine with me.
Thank
Yep.
you.
That's fine.
The other issue I wanted to discuss was that the health department would like to purchase their own vehicle through the county to have and use. We are a department that travels a lot. For example, we had our health educator last couple of weeks had to travel to training, and it was 300 miles round trip. So that's a lot of money for them to have to put into their vehicle buying gas, and you only get 49 cents per mile. So it's quite a bit of cost to the employees who are going to these trainings, and also just wear and tear on their vehicles, and the new Health First funding, there's a lot more requirements and trainings that we have to go to. So that has really increased from what we were doing previously. Also, the just in general, the health department is a lot more active now. We are not staying in the office. We are traveling. All departments are traveling, to the top of the county to the bottom. So we have the funding to pay for this, and we would, no money would come from the county. We have the funding to purchase the vehicle, and we have funding to, get the insurance. We'll talk to George Smith about that. And we'll get our logo on the door. We're going through the the fleet purchasing so that we can get a discount on the vehicle as well.
So would you say, Dr. Market, that this would be a shared vehicle? This wouldn't be like a
shared between all employees.
It wouldn't be like a dedicated vehicle for, say, the health inspector or the part-time. It would be the Vermilion County Health Department. It would be like more or less parked on site, and it would just be shared with whoever needed it that day.
Yes.
How many miles do you project that you're going to drive a year?
How much have you done in previous years?
County's 37 miles long, north to south. So.
Well, just the restaurant inspections alone, you could probably go off that, because those are twice a year at minimum, depending on other issues. Then the septic inspections, I guess, would depend on house bill. I mean, I guess that could go fluctuate up or down.
Yeah. And then,
I asked Brenda to pull out the 2023 dollars spent. We only spent just under $3,000, $2,967,000 last year, and a $4,000 budget. This year's budget's only $3,000 for travel. To date, we're into the first quarter. We spent $254 this year. It costs the county about 70 cents a mile to be driving our county vehicles, or to have a county vehicle. Unless we're in sales where you're putting in 25,000 miles, 24,000 miles a year, it's hardly worth the county purchasing.
But this isn't going to cost the county.
Well, that's county money. Whether it's Board of Health has funding from someplace or whatever, it still costs the county. Plus, the funding that you're talking about is only for the less than 2 years now. So we don't know that the state's going to continue that funding after 2 years. So when it comes up, they may continue it, they may cut it back. We don't know what they're going to do with that. Until we find that we have a better use for a vehicle, I'm not in favor, actually, for any of our departments. If we're not putting on that type of miles, does it come into play that it's worthwhile for the county to be running vehicles or owning vehicles, and the liability of this as well? I'm sure, but it's still not. We haven't seen it.
Did you say 25,000? Is that what you said?
24,000, 25,000 miles.
A year.
It's more like a sales job where you're on the road constantly, at least 8 hours a day, for the most part. If we're in that range, then it becomes a possibility that the county should be entering into these vehicles. There's a lot of cost of these, and including the one that doesn't really show up is liability. It's just anyway. Plus, vehicles are not maintained. If you have a personal vehicle, I've seen this with the mines when we've had them in private industry. People are driving places that they shouldn't be. not that the Board of Health will be doing this, but you're talking about septic inspections and whatever. People get lazy. When we used to buy four-wheel drives for foremen and superintendents, we quit doing that because they would use the four-wheel drive and they end up tearing them up, basically. I ended up going back to two-wheel drives. Not that they still didn't tear them up, but they did. It's just that people don't treat non-known vehicles the same way, and so even the costs, like I say, it costs us almost, not double, but pretty close to double what it costs for a personal vehicle for somebody to be using, and we don't have the miles here that I see to coordinate that even between people. Possibility, I guess, but I'm not in favor of this, including almost any department, unless it's an on-call 24/7 person in the county that has emergency and or other responsibilities. I don't believe that the county should be owning these vehicles. My
Well,
opinion.
one, they're not going to keep it at home.
Yeah.
It will stay at the health department, and be used only during office hours or travel to. And two, I think it's really unfair to expect the health department employees to have to spend so much money on gas.
Well, hopefully they're being compensated, and if they're not being, if this 49 cents is not compensating them for wear, tear, and tire, then that's a council issue that they should be adjusting that so that it is given a proper compensation to them. There's an expectation.
49 cents a mile doesn't compensate a gallon of gas.
That's a council issue. I would prefer that we pay state, whatever the state is. I think that's an easier.
That is the state rate. The 49 cents is the state.
Okay. Well, the state calculates that out to actually compensate people for all those things: wear, tear, gas, oil, etc., liability insurance. But they actually go through the motions of calculating what those are, and so they should be appropriately compensated for their time and effort. There's some other advantages to it as well if they want to look into use of personal vehicles tax-wise and so forth, but anyway.
Well, I think it's a great idea, Dr. Market. I spoke to Wendy when I was down at the office a couple weeks ago, and I think, using this vehicle, especially with the markings on it that you're talking about, will not only help the community, but when you're out and about, whether it's an inspection, septic, health department, doing food inspections, or going to these schools, having Vermilion County Health Department, I think that could really go a long way in promoting the health department, helping with vaccine clinics, whatever you're doing. And like you said, you already have the money there. I believe it's probably from a grant or something, was my understanding. I understand there's
cash that we have that we can use any way we would like to use it.
And I understand the liability aspect and the insurance costs and all that good stuff, but at the end of the day, I still think the pros outweigh the cons, and I would like to see us proceed in giving you permission to proceed and purchase a vehicle. Those are my 2 cents on that.
And if we did get permission, then the next step would be to go through the state. We have requirements we have to meet with the state, and then if that would be approved, then we would go to the council to appropriate.
Who's going to manage this vehicle?
The
Who in your
administrator.
department? Wendy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thoughts, Mr. Yoke?
I know that, speaking with the council has been very open on where they stand about more vehicles, and that's a liability. I think the council, speaking of the council, I don't believe that they want more vehicles. I don't think they want more liability. I think that when they're using their own vehicle, they ought to be compensated correctly with the amount of miles driven, and I don't see where it justifies that amount, is what I'm saying. But I don't want to see people operate at a loss either. So I agree that if it's going to be used every day and use a lot of mileage, it makes sense, but I don't see that. So that's just where I stand here right now. So. Anybody makes a motion on one or the other?
Motion to deny.
I second that. All in favor?
Discussion first.
Discussion?
Any further discussion?
I'm not against the people being fairly compensated. I'm totally, that has to be done. But on the other hand, the liability issue and the county, I know from the council standpoint, I've talked to them many times, and they're saying some of these vehicles, if it's not really being used to the amount that it needs to be, then it don't make sense. And that's, I'm not against the compensation. In fact, whatever compensation they need, I think that they need to be done. I don't think the volume needs that point.
Call for the vote.
If I could speak one real quick, I still believe this is something that should have been done. I understand and respect the issues of, you know, saying 25,000 miles or whatever you guys want to say justifying for that, but I would say if the Board of Commissioners, Tim, you suggested the 49 cents, or you know they need to be compensated more, I would, I haven't spoken to the council members about the fleet management, if they do want to cut that down on certain vehicles, but I would like to see us as Board of Commissioners, if we believe 49 cents isn't enough, then we need to make a recommendation to the County Council. If they don't want to see more fleets, then I don't know what the appropriate number is. Is it 75 cents a mile? Is it 60 cents a mile? Brenda's shaking her head no, it's 75. But whatever that number is, if we don't do the vehicle, then I do think we need to make a recommendation to up that
That's what I
mileage.
said earlier. We don't want no one being.
Federal rate is 67.
Is it? Okay.
That's
Actually, I did misspeak. I meant the federal rate, not the state rate.
State is 49, federal is 67.
The federal, in fact, I think we should be following federal on all their hotel and other compensations that they provide as well. But that's, again, a council issue.
I still don't see how that, you know, is a fair compensation when it doesn't even pay for gas.
Well, that's what I said. That's the thing we're trying to say. We want to make it so that you are compensated.
I mean, that would be,
Yeah.
Well,
right now, $3.50.
if- At 50 cents, basically at 50 cents, that's $10. It pays more than gas.
I don't know.
Gas isn't that high yet. $3.50 or so, give or take.
But anyway, if there can be something worked out where they're fairly compensated, I'm all in favor of that. It's something we'd have to have discussion about that.
Call for the vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All against?
Aye.
We'll work on that. I really will.
Okay.
Okay. What else you have?
That's it for today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're in favor of the septic ordinance, right? It's changed, I assume, since you presented it?
Yes.
Okay.
Do we need to have a vote on that, or just verbally? Or you said you want to research it?
reading.
Okay, yeah, okay. Events time, Brenda Furry.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Myself and Leanne have been researching for a couple of years an electronic version of timekeeping for payroll. We've looked at several different options. We've come to one that's called Advanced Time, and I would like to be able to implement this in my office. It will save time. Eventually, the initial cost is quite a bit, but it will save money. It gives a better accuracy. There are things that we're doing now that's not State Board of Accounts approved that we would have to change if we continue to do a manual paper, but we would prefer to do it electronic.
If you went to, are you done?
Yep.
If you go to electronic, are you going to maintain a backup in case the systems go down for some reason?
Yeah.
Is that going to be the current system, or?
Yeah,
Or will there be some revision
this
to
Advanced
that?
Time actually is the only one that is compatible with our payroll system, our LAO software system. So it helps to upload it and keep track of it.
But if our electronics go down for some reason,
Yes. Yes,
Which
we have a
happens,
backup.
can
It could be
happen.
all on the server. I mean, if the servers go down, then everything the county has, properties and everything is down. So it would
sure,
be the
but we
same
still have
backup server.
payroll.
Mhm.
We have paper payroll then at that point?
We don't need to have a paper payroll.
If the systems go down, you might. That's why I'm saying your backup plan to this, if you do lose it for some reason, it's compatible. What we're doing is going to be able to be entered into the electronic system once it comes back up.
Yeah. I'm not sure I'm understanding the question.
If we lose our electronic or lose the programming, it gets hacked, whatever might happen, totally goes away, lose the server. Do we have a paper backup, or is there a paper copy that can be used that's equal to that then if we lose the system?
It would be the same system that we have now, unless we print everything out from the system, which we could do.
Okay.
So what's the benefits?
If you look at the timesheets are very encumbering. You have, on the left-hand side, you have the time, and that's the part of the thing that the state doesn't like. We put in how many hours worked, whether it's 8 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours, 10 hours. They want 8 to 5, 9 to 4, 2 to 3, whatever that hour time worked. They don't want a block of time. They want a to and a from. So if we stay with the paper version, it's going to have to change as well. So on the left-hand side, you have that. On the right-hand side of it, it is the calculations of your personal time, your vacation time, your sick time, and it is all manually calculated. So what that does is it takes it from when you enter in your time into the electronic system, it automatically pulls it. You tell it what to do, but it will automatically take that and put it into the sick, or take it out of your sick time. She would implement 80 hours sick time if that's what you're eligible for, and it would automatically deduct that time off of there rather than having to manually go and calculate that. And
Supervisors still approve that?
Oh, supervisors still approve everything. Nothing gets sent to Leanne until the supervisor clicks off on it and approves it. One of the questions that I've had is if, and obviously there's a learning curve on anything new, if little Janie forgets to punch in, as you call it, log in on the computer, I will suggest and recommend that you go to your supervisor and say, I forgot to punch in, I was here, forgot to punch in. They can manually punch you in, and it is easier. We went to Miami County. First question I asked them, I said, when you got this, what are some of the things that you didn't know that you would have maybe done differently? And that was one of them, because immediately like, oh, I forgot to clock in, it's 8:10, oh, I'm clocking in. Don't do that, because it's harder to adjust that 10 minutes than it is for the supervisor to just go in and manually punch you in and get clocked.
Well, it needs to be a regular time card that's in a slot and pick it up.
It's all computer. It's on the computer. There will be time clocks.
So you log in on your computer?
Yes, you log in on your computer.
Okay.
How will Highway do it? Everybody doesn't
They
have a
will have
computer.
time. We have 3. The proposal has 3 time clocks for the highway.
Wasn't we gonna get iPads for them at one time?
Yeah, we never
And it
did.
didn't come out?
Well, an iPad for administration, we're still going to do that with the
Yeah, we
asset
do.
management plan. Will be doing that, but not for every employee. No.
So Brenda, besides updating like the system, like you said, even if we keep with the paper system, you're gonna have to update how the sheet's done.
Yep.
So besides updating that, is there any issues that can't be corrected, or is there issues currently within the county government in any area that isn't being done correctly for HR, payroll, that is kind of pushing this, or is it just strictly to update to maybe just a better system?
Both.
Okay.
We do have some issues, and it varies on week to week, payroll to payroll. Sometimes we get timesheets in on time. Sometimes we don't have timesheets in on time. It's the right-hand side of the timesheet.
Okay.
Not always accurate. Well, I had 8 sick hours, not,
But can any of that be corrected with those office holders, or do they get corrected? I assume they do.
They do, but it's extremely time-consuming and it's very encumbering.
Okay, so just out of scenario, switch to the new system. Same issues continue because we're just putting it in a computer to where the office holders are maybe messing up still. What's the process to change them then? Is it still going to be the same process you have now, where there's issues?
It won't let you continue until it's corrected.
Okay.
The thing, maybe John, you can answer this question. An elected official for their office, they they're not accountable for any time, technically, right? As far as their attending and being there. It used to be, it had to be the 1 day a year.
Yeah, okay, I was misunderstanding.
That's-
Yes, the elected official doesn't have to account for their time.
Right. And how about the deputy?
The deputies are their employees, so the elected official would be responsible for accounting for that their deputies were actually performing the duties that they were being paid for.
And the
doing.
deputy would have to fill a time card.
And they do.
That, I think there's a more technical answer to it.
They do. Yeah. Everyone is required to fill out a timesheet unless you are an elected official.
Unless you what?
An elected official.
So what's your take on that, John?
It gets into whether Brenda can set the standards for her office. If the standard for her office is, I need a timesheet submitted before I cut a paycheck, that's your kingdom. Another elected official could say, I'm not going to make my people do this.
State Board of Accounts requires it.
I get it, but we've had it come up before, and there's no way to make them do it, but then their employees wouldn't get paid, and then there would be a problem there. So I'd say your answer is correct. I just think there's more of a technical nuance to each of these elected officials being their own little king of their own little kingdom. But I think that the final result would be you could not cut a paycheck unless they met the requirements of your office.
Yep.
So if that makes sense.
That's normal.
So Brenda, the upfront cost is $45,000 basically, right?
Correct.
And then is that the $875 is a monthly cost, right?
Correct.
So it'd be about $10,500 a year that'll have to be budgeted for this if
And-
approved.
Correct, and it's already been budgeted. The council already approved it.
So they've approved the entire amount, the
Yep.
$50,000 or the $45,500 up front, and then the
Correct.
$10,500.
I can have a point of order. What is that?
Statewide tornado drill.
Is it?
It's good to know.
What do you think?
Where's it
It's
coming
telling me
from?
my time is up, Britton.
News
So,
radio.
back to the statement you just made, that the council didn't approve this.
Yes.
So they're all in
The
favor.
funding is there. I just need your guys' blessing.
But they approved it
Mhm.
and said it was a good thing. then.
Yep. I presented it at the budget hearings.
Sorry.
Well, you're good. I was wondering too. I thought it was somebody's phone back there or something, but maybe a ringtone. I guess my other just follow up or question with this is, I'm sure you've had the questions like I have from office holders and concerns.
Mhm.
Is there a way before this is approved to loop in these elected office holders and officials? Because I think there is a lot of concerns that I can't even answer
I
some
spoke
of
to
it.
several of them
Okay.
after we talked.
Okay, and I know there's a few out here, in the pews today, and I've heard a few in favor, and I've heard several that are not in favor. And they're the ones that's going to be utilizing this a lot, including your office, not me, Tim, or Britt. We're not going to utilize
Right.
this. So I would really like to see, has the auditor's office or payroll talked to every elected office holder and said, hey?
Not everybody, but I've talked to a few that
A few of them?
I've run across, yes.
Well, does any elected officials here have any comments on it that are here that'd be willing to?
I have a question.
Mhm.
Does this get rid of the need of having a payroll clerk?
No.
But this substantially cuts down her workload? Is that
It does, but she has a lot of overtime, so it will cut back on her overtime.
That's to the point where she'll have no overtime?
Well, Lord willing, that would be the blessing of all of it. That would be wonderful, but I'm never gonna say, never say never. Depends on the circumstances, what's going on. First of the year, she has a lot.
How much time is this gonna save?
I don't know exactly. I can't unfortunately say how much time it will save. There's no, and we asked Miami, and it just varies week to week, pay to pay.
The big thing about this, I think, it streamlines a lot of this stuff and makes it get more up to date in processes, and I think it makes accountability more important. I think if accountability is important, especially in county government, I believe this brings some more accountability to it, and I would also recommend that even office holders people know when you come and go. And it's important that you might want to keep your own little book when you come and go for accountability.
I don't think it counts for that, does it?
For what?
Office holders? There's not
No,
an
the
accountability
office
for
holders
them.
don't have to do any of
No,
this.
they
They're
don't.
on.
Come on up here if you got something to say.
No.
Linda. You're welcome to.
But
So-
it does, it also goes back to, there have been times where the timesheets are turned in early. There's been some misunderstanding on that. And what that does is it puts it in at the correct time. You can't put a timesheet in prior to working those hours, and that has happened in the past. You can't go back and change a timesheet after you've worked the hours. If you turn it in on a Wednesday and your staff member is sick on a Thursday, but you put them in as 8 work, you can't go back and change that to 8 sick. I mean, State Board of Accounts, that's a big fat no-no.
So the courthouse, it'll be laptops, and then you said the highway departments, it would be a time clock?
Yes.
So I know we talked briefly about the highway.
Yep.
So if there's a call out,
Yep.
Mike Clyde goes out, you're saying since it's a supervisor role, they can still come in the next morning. There's no sense in going in and
Yep.
theory
Nope.
clocking in.
Nope, Mike can, let's say Mike gets a call and it's up north and it's
Or wherever,
Colby.
yeah, just-
Yeah, and so Mike gets the call, he calls Colby goes out because it's way north, he doesn't go to the garage. First of all, Mike knows that because Mike's getting the call, but secondly, then Colby can just make sure that Mike manually enters him in.
Enters that.
The
It's not a
the
problem.
control is still with the office holder.
Oh, the control is always on the office holder.
Linda, you want to say something quick?
Jay mentioned, he mentioned laptops. It would just be our computers, right?
Yeah, we was talking about the county
We're talking
garage.
about that.
I was talking about the laptop thing.
No, I just made the statement that I have kept a timesheet ever since I've been in this building,
That's good.
so.
That's good. Appreciate that.
I think that was your advice 3 years ago
Yeah.
to me, was to keep that.
Yep. That's good advice.
Leanne can't speak, but she said, this makes the office holder.
She can't speak, but her voice is back.
Yeah, she does. That the office holder is responsible for making sure that the left matches the right on our timesheet now. And this,
Right now, they're not all of them are.
no.
And then it's compatible with the sheriff's department. You've talked to
Yep.
with their setup or whatever.
Yep.
Does this give the employee a chance to say, I've got so many hours of sick time, so many hours of vacation time, they can go back in and look how much time they have
See it.
left or not?
See it all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And it also has a place in there. This was originally set up for a sheriff's department, and then it kind of blossomed from there to more county employee, all departments. I just think it's 2024 and it's time.
If there's changes to how we manage somebody, does that have the capacity that we do it, or do you have to call in the firm that owns the program to make that change once it's set up initially?
But we should be able to do that. And if we do, it is the firm that we use now, so it's the same.
Well, the counties have this.
Oh, yeah, and he's already called me and said, have you got that passed yet? Because we're going to be on a waiting list anyway. Most all the counties are going. Slowly but surely, they're moving to this. Yeah, and we're going to implement it in sections. We're not doing a whole county all at once. That's our plan anyway. Yeah. Yeah, we've had some people forget to get paid because they haven't turned timesheet in.
The other question is on the updates on these. Is this company here going to do the updates as far as taxes and changes?
Oh, yeah. It already does that.
This company, with that amount that they're saying, they're going to keep your tax.
We already do that. That's with the other side of the payroll system. This is just the times
Allow
side
system,
of
I
it.
think it is.
But I'm saying, as years go by, there's different tax rate changes and stuff.
Yep.
But who's
Loud takes care of that now,
okay?
every year.
Okay.
So at the minimum, you would need this changed regardless, even if you don't go with this system. Parts of the payroll sheets would have to be changed anyway, even if you didn't.
Yep.
So is there I'm sure this was thought about, but I'm sure this is just easier and more conducive for the office to use, but could any of this be done in the current way we're doing it, and just by email, by word, by saying we want to change it this way and do it manually still? And was that considered, or is it just this is more proactive, more
This is more proactive.
more easier to?
Yeah. We're looking at someday it's going to be 2030, and somebody's going to implement it, whether it be me or the next person.
Rick, where you got something to say about it from the council? Excuse me.
My experience with electronic timekeeping, this is, I'll say 40 years with Duke Energy. When I first joined Duke Energy at the Gallagher Generating Station, I did payroll for well over a couple of years, I'll say. And ever since then, even as an employee with Duke Energy, we kind of had a time ticket. I know you and I, Tim, have had electronic time tickets for 5+, maybe 10 years. We fill them out every day. They are a great tool for a management or an office keeper, and I would assume there would be reports stating that, hey, my employee did not fill out a time ticket. Or as an individual, can also look back and say, okay, my sick time or my holidays or my overtime or whatever is correct, because I can look at it immediately. Paper timekeeping is a thing of the past. I think the county does need to look at moving forward, hopefully soon, and maybe now, but I agree by 2030 it's going to happen, or should happen. There's a lot of advantages, and the key is making sure everybody gets a paycheck every day. And if they don't fill out a time ticket and your office holder doesn't check, then it's going to fall back on this individual, but that's not her problem. It should have been you as the employee making sure you got your time ticket and making sure the information is correct. So I know we've talked about it as a council, not in depth, but we feel like it's the good thing to do. And I'll just, while I'm up here, fleet vehicles. I've managed fleet vehicles for years and years and years. That is another tough situation. I empathize with you because I've been there and I've driven, I'll say with IBM, 100,000 miles in 1 year on my car, and it ruined it. But also I've driven for 40 years with Duke Energy on a private car and also pool cars. But an assigned car, it's tough. And it's, somebody's going to have to take that vehicle in every month or every 3 months, get the oil changed, fix flat tires. You don't want to deal with that if you can keep from it. So personal vehicles, I think, are the thing to do. Sometimes we don't feel like we get compensated well enough for it, because I've driven my car for a long time. So there's good and bad. And how do we share a pool car? And we can't have 16 or 20 pool cars in the county. We can't afford that. Nor can we keep up with the maintenance. So it's a delicate balance no matter what we do. And that's what the council faces all the time, is how do we manage the money that we currently have and keep our budgets as flat as we can, so we have money to have increases in payroll and things like that. So that's my perspective. And yes, and as I've told everybody, I think you have a very conservative council, and we're trying to watch the money and do things that are great, like peer court and drug traffic task force. So we're spending a lot of money on a lot of things that we don't normally do, but how do we continue to keep doing that? So we have to pinch pennies. So that's my thoughts.
We'll have a vote on this so we can move on.
Make a motion to approve the payroll system as presented.
I second that. Discussion?
The only discussion I'll add is I do believe there are some pros to the system and to implementing this, but at the not only the upfront cost of $45,000, but just the cost of $11,000, well, $10,500 a year. I think is a lot. As Rick just stated, we're always trying to pinch pennies per se. If we could say, hey, we're going to cut somewhere else to do this, maybe, but I think just for the cost of this program, I just can't support it at this time.
The said last 5 years, I'm surprised Duke hasn't been on an electronic system far longer than that. For the last...
I've been retired for 3, so I'm trying to go on.
Sure. For the last 25 years, I've been on an electronic system. I don't know how a company would operate that has more than one business unit, if you will, or more than one location, be able to function well. Well, we couldn't do it anyway, but we've been on an electronic system for a long time. Of course, it has a lot more employees than what the county has, but regardless, you've got a number of different individuals, different departments, and accounting for all that, I can see being a real problem, and then having to rectify those issues, I think, would be even more horrendous problem for a payroll person or for HR, whoever's going to do this type of work. So I believe that I agree with Rick in the way that electronics, we had that problem with highway. We had, at one time, we had three different highway departments. And she was going through and with a calculator going through, once one change was made in one, she had to make it in the other two, and then an overall for the county. And it's all the time. She spent her whole day just doing that. Nothing else was getting done other than adjusting the county accounts, and that's kind of the same thing that's happening here. So I'm more than in favor of this. It's from probably 25 years past due. Not that we've had that type of program available to us here, but it has been available to other places.
I just think it's very simple. It brings some more accountability.
Well, it accounts for the LAO, and it interfaces with the LAO system. That's another very, you couldn't write a program that interface with, or you could, but you'd have to be very knowledgeable, and you have to be changing it every year to be able to do so, to account for the state changes, federal changes. So
again, like I said,
I
believe it brings more accountability to the process.
Well, I'm assuming that the office holders are holding everybody accountable anyway, but this documents and makes it a system that is very, it allows for that accountability to be shown well, as opposed to having to go back and find various papers. Everything I do now is electronic, or I try to do everything electronically now, and even setting up changes and things, I'd make it in spreadsheet or database, and that's why, like our asset management plan, that is kind of equal to this, though it probably has 10 times the amount of data, but it's something that will allow us to manage the highway system. Likewise, this will help us manage the county payroll system and benefits. So I think it's far past due.
Call for a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against?
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Britton, you need anything to go over right now, because you need to be leaving. Britton's going to road school today.
There's nothing else that needs.
You might want to mention your
The town hall, if I
town halls,
can.
what they were about.
On April 10th, the asset management plan we're rolling out. It'll be the first public draft, put it that way. But on April 10th at 9 o'clock, we'll be at the Cayuga Town Hall. At 1 o'clock, we'll be here at the courthouse. And at 6 o'clock at the Universal Town Hall. Well, Clark Dietz there, Highway will be there, and I'll be there. Any other commissioners may be there. What this is that we have set up every segment that we have in the county as far as highway, consistent with our community crossings. What we've in the process of doing this, we had 391 miles, I think, centerline miles in the county at one time. This has ended up being 540 some miles. We've actually short-circuited ourselves quite a bit, a significant number. I don't know if it's still the same way, but 80% of the county.
What was their numbers again?
I'd have to go back and look. Don't.
Okay.
341 to 391 to 540 some, I believe is what it is. I should have looked that up before I came, but I didn't.
That's a lot of revenue.
Well, 80%, county highway funding comes from 3 sources. 1 is from registrations, 2 is from gas tax, and 3 is from your centerline miles. I don't know how long we've been running on this 340 number, but this is a significant change in this, and it will change our funding, our base funding from the state. 80 cents on the dollar comes from centerline miles. The other comes from the registrations and gas tax. This is significant. It's not going to happen. It'll probably take 2 years, a year to 2 years to get it through the state. It's been adjusted at LTAP now. It's going to be part of our asset management plan now, but by the time that the state gets it rolled into their system, we won't see that funding difference for maybe 2 years, plus or minus. So it does help there. But with this asset management plan, the idea is that we've set up an algorithm to prioritize our roads. It's still got more refinement to be done, and there's going to be additional data put in, like traffic counts, thoroughfares, etc. Still to be added to it, but this is the base program. What it does is that it prioritizes every segment of road that we have in the county. With that, it's a tool in which we can go back and look at our community crossings, or actually any funding, regardless of where it comes from, and how do we want to spend that funding. The next thing they'll be going into it is, I don't know if they'll be ready by this April 10th date, but it will actually start showing each segment what the cost would be to do that segment as well as we go down through there. Still judgment's going to be required, whether we have the funding available. If it's a $100,000 project and we had $2,000, yeah, $100,000 is not going to get done. So that means it goes on down. So there's still going to have to be management of it, upkeep of it. We have an inspector that will be trained here, I think next week it is. We'll start that process as well.
We have one of our county highway department guys.
There'll be a county highway department guy. It'll be kept on an electronic system, so changes to it will be immediate as soon as the entries are made. The asset management plan will be updated as it goes through, and so it can be pulled up at any time to be looking at as to what we need to do. And this, with regard to pavement, have ratings, culverts will have ratings, sidewalk, signs.
Culverts.
Did I say culverts? Culverts. Anyway, at least those parameters are going to be shown on that. Also, whenever we go into a segment, it'll pull up what else is in there. So if we're repaving a road, but we have a culvert that's bad, it'll pull up that you need to replace this culvert before, or it gives us a warning anyway that you have a bad culvert here before you pave it, or whatever we do to the surface of it may be. So it's a tool that we've been working on for a couple of years now, and we're finally to the point now we'll roll it out. So anyway, that's what that's about. If you can come, what this meeting will do is you can look and see what road segment you're on. So if you're on a county road, or you have an interest in a county road, you can look and see where it throws you into the prioritization. There's still refinement to be made to that, but it'll show you if you're number 1 or you're number 10,000. So you get an idea of, it's not just by chance that we're doing things, it'll be actually a managed system as to why we're doing things to roads or what we're doing to them. We're also looking at being able to show our roads, basically on these PACER ratings. Once you get to a certain value, you want to cause a sealing of the road or a change to that road to the surface. Once you go below that rating, it starts throwing you into higher costs. And so what we're hoping to do is be able to take these, and once we get down to a certain rating on these PACERs, which is on a 10 scale, it's about a 6. Once we get to a 6, if we don't do something to that road, we will increase our cost of maintenance as we go even further down that PACER rating. So it's going to be a very good management tool money-wise, being able to justify why we want to do things, and again, judgment still has to come into play. So commissioners are still involved in it, county highway will be involved in it, and hopefully soon we'll have a county engineer who will be able to really take this and really refine it to a degree that we've never seen in this county anyway. So.
I want to add to that, one of the things that we have tried to do in the process of doing is taking the road decisions and making it into that is based on fact instead of paving someone's road because they want it paved, and that happens a lot in counties. And our whole goal is to spend money for the county where it needs to be spent, and by an engineer and by a highway superintendent. And right now I talked to Jim Meese this morning before the meeting, and within 30 days we will have a proposal to look at and consider about the shared engineer. So that combination, the engineer and the highway department work, I think that they should be able to make decisions based on what they see and not because if someone wants something done. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to spend the money where it's supposed to be spent and take some of this other stuff out of the equation. So in the next 30 days, I'll have a document from Park County that will be their recommendation for the shared engineer. We'll look at that and then we'll send back our recommendation. So the second part of that asset management plan is having the engineer on site and working, and we're getting close to getting that done also. So Britt's done a wonderful job with this, and I really appreciate what he's done on this.
Long time coming. Thank you. Off to school.
The CoreLogic request for GIS information. Who's representing that? Anybody? Who? I know it is, but I'm saying who.
They just sent a letter.
It's a normal course thing. They request the information, we typically will approve that. The only question I have with CoreLogic, they provide it for insurance companies and so, or not insurance, realtors for the most part. I assume that there's already an agreement that they don't resell the information, so I don't really have any problem with it. Just hopefully they're not reselling the information. But that's already part of the agreement.
You got any comment on it?
And I'm in agreement with providing this. We do this for other companies.
This is standard.
Yeah, I'm fine with approving it.
So, does a voice vote? You okay with it?
Yeah, I'm okay just by agreement. Yeah,
I'm
that's
in
fine.
agreement too.
That's fine.
We're gonna move on. What about status and copy on? Okay, some of the stuff, the county handbook review, I don't know nothing about that right now. Let that go for now. Status of county on copiers. You got anything to say about what you're leaving?
What about the I forget what I put in there.
The copiers, that was your program.
Status of county. Oh, we have the county-owned copiers downstairs that we need to make a decision. We don't have to make a decision today, but you need to be thinking about what we want to do with those. They are county-owned. We can donate them. We can throw them away. We can do whatever we want with them. Most of them are outdated as far as service goes. Once they get to 10 years anyway, as far as being able to find parts.
We can talk about that next time. Courthouse closing procedure. Did we all come up with agreement about noon? Are we all in agreement with noon?
I have not seen anything.
Well, that's for
we was just talking and we didn't.
Well, that's different. That's a procedure for like water.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself.
The solar one.
Yeah, the solar eclipse, I think we agreed by noon.
Did we agree with that, Brett? Noon for solar eclipse. Did Mark O'Hara here? Mark,
Solar eclipse will happen, I think, at 3 o'clock. I'm sorry, what's at noon?
Closing the courthouse at noon.
Oh, yeah,
Solar.
yeah, that's fine.
You have any problem with that?
No, that's my recommendation.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that the courthouse will be closed at noon. So the solar eclipse.
Is that at all county departments, whether it's courthouse or?
Satellite offices.
Yeah, all of them, right?
Yeah, that's what I would. I mean, yeah, I would.
I don't know if some of you know it or not, but what they're saying is going to happen. I assume it's going to happen. I mean, but kind of hard to comprehend. There's going to be all these traffic here and hard to get out, and it's supposed to be a real thing, right, Mark? I mean, no, I'm serious.
The hotel rooms over in Paris.
I know
like
the solar
$300
eclipse is happening. That's not what I'm saying.
First, the solar eclipse is a real thing.
Thank you, Mark. That was not my comment. You know it wasn't.
If you look at the states that's happening in the past, they plan for, say, 600,000 people, they get 300,000 people, and it's still a nightmare.
Yeah.
The state of Indiana is planning 600,000 people, and so if we just get to 300, or we get more or less, it's going to be a nightmare. We need to plan for it, and we're planning a worst-case scenario on all this stuff.
Right.
The standard weather for that day is about a 65% possibility of overcast, which means there's not really going to be much to see. But the National Weather Service, I think, is saying right now it's about 80% chance for this part of the state. So pray for rain.
Okay.
Kylie, somebody else.
You don't think the party ought to happen.
On the
you want to say something?
We do have the glasses that we're going to be giving to all county employees. So.
Good.
Cool.
Good. Good. Is the schools out that day?
Yes.
E-learning, right?
Yes.
Keep all the kids, little kids from going out, looking up, I guess.
Good luck with that.
Okay, so we covered both of those, right? C and D. Eric, you want to come up and talk about the cleanup days? Okay, I'm just saying it's on here, so.
I think Brendan's left it on there as a standing.
Spring, the cleanup days, April 19th, 2024, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. April 2024, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So that's Friday and Saturday, correct? Fall will be September 13th, same times, and September 14th, the same time to 1. Tire recycling at the Rise, May 11th, 2024, from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. So public comment. Got one more chance to talk. Don't work.
I have a question. Mark O'Hare, Vermillion County MA. I have a question about the ARP money that we received quite a while ago, and we changed the flavors of it a few times to call it something different. Went through the foundation for applications. I'm wondering where all that stuff's sitting. I'm seeing people walking in and asking for hundreds of thousands of dollars and getting it. And some of us put in applications and we're not hearing a word.
Okay, I can relate to that somewhat. Yes, it needs to be handled. It needs we need to come up with a way of doing this. The problem is, at first, and RJ, you can comment too when you're done, but at first I didn't know what the limit was to us as commissioner spending. And I believe Rick Weir is here today, and he made the comment, and that's what's done, is they limit us to $100,000 to spend of that money. And we can spend that, but they're waiting to see how we spend it, and then if they can give us more is what I understand. So it's hard to, when you think you had a larger piece of pie, and all of a sudden you got a small piece of pie, to equally to divide it up. There's some on there I think that we don't think too much of, and probably a few. But we need to have a meeting and come up with some way to spend $100,000 to be fair enough. How are you going to be fair? It's like, how are you going to be fair?
Right.
You know, but we need to give you a date and a time that that's going to be done. Don't you agree?
I agree, and it's 50,000. I think Brenda's trying to say it's not 100.
I told you we're conservative.
Yeah, but I thought you said 100,000.
Could I ask a question?
Yeah.
That we'll just call it 50 for sake of argument. If they give that 50 out, can they come back and get another 50 from you?
I don't think that we'd be opposed to that.
Right.
My
But we gotta do
comment to
something.
Tim was,
Yeah, I agree.
We want to see the money spent well and wisely. And if it's spent well and wisely, this is my opinion, that there's going to be more money available.
Yeah.
My project is putting a siren up in the Gessie area. The cost of a siren right now is probably more about 60,000. I had it at 50. I have the siren, I have most of the
These are
material.
kinda
I just
like-
need to buy a solar panel, a pole, and labor, and that's about 25,000.
Right.
So
Yeah, I think-
I'm actually proactive
Yeah, I
trying to pay for
think-
most
We
of
are.
the project.
Priorities.
Yeah.
Listen to her.
Yeah,
I think you need to put priorities to things and then come back.
Yeah, I think me and Tim's original idea with this application to the community foundation was for outside of county entities, because I think the sheriff's department put in forward, and I think you did, and I think those are kind of separate from this, because you guys are county projects that I think we absolutely need to support, like the body cams, the siren, and the other ones are like the disc golf, the reading club. There's like and to say, and like Tim, I think we all support their projects, but some of those costs, like as an example, one of them was like $200,000, and there's just no way we could fund the entirety of that. There's a fire department to put in for some funding, some churches, but yeah, I think yours, I would put in a separate box is how I mean, because I think yours can't.
And I put that through the foundation system, and I gave you all copies.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure Brenda got a copy too. So,
But I think your money has to do with the county. You should just apply to the county for that.
And I agree with that.
You shouldn't even have to go through that.
I'm asking for, I don't have it in front of me, it's like 2324, and it was based on like a $50,000 project, which a solar panel at that time was about $5,500. That's about $7,800 now.
Well, you said 55,000, didn't you?
Right. I'm saying I asked for about $23,000.
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
somewhere in that area.
Well, could you just put it on our agenda and we can vote on it, discuss it, just like we done the body cams for the sheriff's department, and then go before the council?
And that's county.
Yeah, I think we can just do that
You
next.
shouldn't have no problem with that anyway,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah, the other stuff, me and Tim, we've got 6 or 7 people. We've got to decide how to get 50,000, because there's probably only 2 or 3 projects we could fully fund under 50, and the rest of them are just, they're way over that.
And now, since we know we only got $50,000, that's what we need to take out. We only got $50,000 spent, so at this increment. Next time we know that we know 50. Maybe that'd be nice to give us 100 next time. I don't.
But I'd
think
rather,
so, but
yeah, I'd rather get with yours on the agenda too, because
Yeah.
that definitely needs taken care of. That siren
we
up
should
there.
have to go through this.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, as soon as the funding's approved, it's gonna be a year and a half.
That's what I mean. It needs to be.
Just getting a pole these days.
Yeah.
Is like a nightmare because of all the weather and the tornadoes and stuff that
Alright.
just tore up infrastructure.
So,
We'll have you on the next agenda then for the.
council?
Well, unless we, I mean, in theory, I guess.
Well,
you-
Well, I don't have the paperwork in front of me right now, so I'd like to talk actual numbers.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine, yeah.
Before I get an approval.
Okay.
We can put you on the agenda for next meeting? Done?
Yeah, that would be the,
The night meeting, do you want that?
next meeting's 26th?
Correct.
Yeah, I should be here.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Anybody else? We're gonna get out of here before 11 o'clock. Hey, one update about the annex. Speech.
I hear the flooring's done over there.
Confession time. This is the annex next door.
John Graves, construction manager of the annex project. I spoke with the state inspector at Dollar General last week.
Oh, Dollar General.
And, because he hadn't been around for a while. He's gonna be here Thursday, and he's looking for fire extinguishers to be hung, grab bars in the bathrooms to be mounted, and, if he's satisfied with that, he might give me an occupancy permit.
Good news.
Has that stuff been installed?
Pardon me?
Has it all been installed and it's ready for?
No, it's not been installed yet.
That was the question.
No, that's why there's sawdust on me. I had
Oh,
to
okay.
cut some blocks at home to make some room for some trim that somebody removed somehow. I don't know why, but and my trim guy is eating more trim than he's putting up, I think. I spend more time polyurethane and staining than I do anything else, but
It looks good.
it's
The drywall looked really good.
It's very close.
It looked good.
It's very close.
So when is the big day?
Not until after the state inspector comes on Thursday. I can't give you a date.
All right.
So.
But we're
John, are we
close.
gonna plan on having an open house for the
Yeah,
community?
definitely.
Or?
We talked about an open house with, I think Rick and I might have talked about an open house a little bit, but we kind of thought maybe the best thing for an open house was after the public defenders and after the soil and water people get
Yeah.
moved in and settled in,
Oh, yeah.
because if you come in now, all you're going to see is empty walls and empty rooms.
Yeah.
You know, so you're not really going to see a whole lot, but that's what we talked about, and that would be up to Eric and public defender people, so.
So you've been in contact with the public defender's office and they're?
Yes, several
ready?
times.
Okay. Everything's still good for that?
Everything's good with that.
Good deal.
I have, all the lock sets are in the building to put on all the doors, but there's no sense putting them on until we need them.
Okay.
So, we're getting close.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. Anybody else? It's your last chance today.
Motion to adjourn?
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting